Is Sean Payton to blame for the Saints quarterback conundrum?
Without question, so far. And the only reason I say that, listen, I say that out of profound respect for Sean Payton. This is a Super Bowl champion coach. This is somebody that's known as one of the brilliant offensive minds in the game. Max, if you'd like to go first, I don't mind. I don't want to step on anything if I've said. Yeah, but I just want to tell you this. When you look at Sean Payton, listen, Sam, Max, it really is fair to say the only reason we care to know anything about Taysom Hill is because Sean Payton told us. If you really, really think about it, don't get me wrong, he started 4 games last year. He went 3-1. He looked really respectable in those performances, and that's not to take anything away from him. But considering how old he is, because he's over 30 years of age, he's never started. He's been in New Orleans throughout his career. He's played behind Drew Brees. We never paid any attention to Taysom Hill until Sean Payton told us this was somebody that was worth paying attention to. We saw him on special teams. We saw him in trick, gimmicky plays and things of that nature. But for the most part, that's all we saw from him until he was thrusted into the starting lineup last year once Drew Brees got hurt. And so because of that, we thought he was going to be the heir apparent, particularly since you had Jameis Winston in the lineup, but Sean Payton still elected to go to him. All right, well, fast forward to this year. Drew Brees is officially gone. He's retired. He's going to be in the NBC booth. We wish him nothing but the best. I think he'll do a great job. But it comes down to Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. And since Taysom Hill had gotten the call over a guy who had started the previous 5 years in Tampa Bay in Jameis Winston, albeit that last year he threw 30 interceptions to go with his 33 touchdowns, the fact remains that we looked at Taysom Hill and we said, okay, this must be the guy. And so when you come into this season and there's no decision that's been made, that Sean Payton is still undecided, his acumen for football, his knowledge, and his brilliance being an offensive mind, for him to not be in a place where he can definitively say, Taysom Hill is my guy, is an indictment against Taysom Hill. And I don't think there's any way to look at it, because since that Sean Payton is the guy that said, this is the guy you should believe him, we should have expected him to be a bit more definitive about Taysom Hill. And if he's not more definitive about Taysom Hill, either Taysom has dropped off or Sean Payton was just wrong.
I can't put this all on Sean Payton. First of all, he's not the GM. Mickey Loomis. The coach is also responsible for drafting the quarterback and everything. Look, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line about Taysom Hill. You're right, Stephen A. Sean Payton told us in Miami a couple years ago, Taysom Hill is going to be he's going to be a good quarterback. He may or may not be wrong about that. Time will tell. Taysom Hill is kind of a miraculous athlete. He's known as a gadget player, but boy, those are some gadgets. I watch Odell Beckham Jr., for example, take batting practice at Citi Field, hit home run after a home run. I see him throw a spiral with his left hand 50 yards. I see him kick a soccer ball. Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best. If the Martians came down and said, take us to your greatest athlete, you might take him to LeBron, you might take him to Odell, but Taysom Hill is kind of one of those guys. He runs a 4.45 40. He's a genuine running back. He can actually catch passes, and he can play quarterback according to Sean Payton. Now, could I see how a coach might fall in love with that guy and think he can maybe do that a little? No one wants to make Odell a quarterback, even though he can throw the ball, right? Because it requires more than just throwing the ball. But he looked at Taysom Hill for a good long while and thought, I think he could do it. Now, he's on the same team with Drew Brees. He didn't get the job before he was 30. That tells you he ain't going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But Sean Payton thinks he might be a quarterback, and he might be right. By the way, this is a copycat league. We were just talking earlier. Sam, you brought up Fangio's disciples are everywhere, right? Just like Shanahan disciples are everywhere because things catch on in the NFL. It works. Could it not work with a Wildcat if you had Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara? That can't work, or at least part of an offensive package that could work. He ain't going to replace Drew Brees as the next Drew Brees. But at the time, when it was either of getting more expensive Teddy Bridgewater or the unknown who he believed in Taysom Hill, he said, you know what? I don't think we're better off with Teddy Bridgewater and paying him than we are with Taysom Hill, who I think we can develop. And the jury is still out there. But even so, is he to blame that Taysom Hill is not Drew Brees? No. Are you sure that Taysom Hill can't be a successful NFL quarterback? I'm not. I haven't ruled that out yet.
Well, hold on for a second before Sam chimes in. Nobody's asked. I just want for clarification. Nobody's asking him to be Drew Brees. We're asking him to be a starting quarterback in this league because because Sean Payton told us he is. So if that's not going to be the case with Sean Payton still the coach in New Orleans, that's a problem. Sam, floor is yours.
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple issues with some things that I've heard from both of you. So I'll start with Max, if you don't mind. Max, first of all, I don't think anyone on earth wants to hear Taysom Hill in the same conversation as Odell Beckham when it comes to being a phenomenal athlete or LeBron James. Like, let's just start there, number one. Number two, some of the things that you named off that Taysom Hill does really, really well. You said he can catch the ball really well. He can cover kicks really well. Then you said he can play quarterback according to his coach. But according to the film, he can't play quarterback. Like, Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. He's a slash guy. He's a specialist. He's a receiver. He's a return man. He's not a quarterback. Now, we went back there and won some games. They were 3-1, but he's not a quarterback. The reason they were 3-1, the reason that they won, I mean, let's just turn on the preseason game. Look at his interception. Like, good quarterbacks don't make interceptions like that. They just don't. They just don't.
I see quarterbacks make stupid passes all the time.
That's not a stupid pass. That's like somebody who's a receiver trying to figure out how to play quarterback, who's like a do-it-all guy trying to figure out how to play quarterback. That's not a quarterback, number one. Number two, I look at like why they've been successful. I think about this. Sometimes success can be good for you, but sometimes it can hurt you. Sean Payton in the last 2 years is 8-1 without Drew Brees as his quarterback. So he's had success. In 2019, Drew Brees missed 5 games. All of a sudden, Teddy Bridgewater, 5-0. Right? Last year, Drew Brees gets injured. All of a sudden, Taysom Hill, 3-1. He won some games.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.